Good morning. Happy September. We are kicking off our fall webinar series, and I'm pleased to introduce Clint Boots, who is our research analyst for the Tobacco Prevention Program here at the Department of Health and Human Services. And he is going to take some time today to go over our tobacco data and the resources available for you to use. So I won't take any more time, and I will go ahead and turn it over to Clint and let him present his information. There'll be a chance for you guys to answer questions after he's done. So thank you.
Well, thanks, Abby, and good morning, everyone. As Abby said, I'm Clint Boots, and I'm a research analyst with the North Dakota Department of Health and Human Services. And I've been with the tobacco program since 2003. So with that, I'll try to get into my presentation. So can everyone see my presentation now?
Yes.
Okay.
Slides are up.
Just wanted to make sure of that. What we're going to do today is, as Abby said, I'm going to go through some long-term tobacco use data trends, or as long-term as we have the data for some of them. And we'll talk about those a little bit. And then the other thing that I want to do is also take you through a handful of data sources that I think are pretty useful, pretty helpful, and I just want to make sure that people are aware of them if they would want to try to use them. So on this first slide, this is the North Dakota high school, and high school is defined as grades 9 through 12, and this is the current cigarette smoking rate, or in other words, those students who had reported smoking cigarettes on at least one of the past 30 days before taking the survey. That is the definition of current use. And as you can see, we have a nice long trend line here since 2003, all the way up now to 2023 has just become available. And as you can see over the entire trend line, the high school current cigarette smoking rate has trended downward nicely. There are some ups and downs on the way, but when you just look over the entire trend line, it's a very steady downward trend. And the way that the way I put this presentation together is I'll do youth first, and then I'll do the same thing with adults where that's available. So here we have the adult current cigarette smoking rate, another very long trend line. We have lots of data for this, which is great. Over this entire trend line, the adult current smoking rate has trended downward from 21.9 in 2011 to 15.1 in 2022. From this data source, the Behavior Risk Factor Surveillance System, 2022 is the most recent data we have, although 2023 should be available pretty soon. But this, a very nice sort of steady downward trend over time for adult current cigarette smoking. Now on this slide, we move to the high school current electronic nicotine delivery system, or ENDS use. This trend is a little bit shorter and a little bit trickier to look at or interpret. It had quite a dramatic increase or spike in 2019. So in effect, it increased from 2015 to 2019, but then it decreased now from 2019 to 2023. So we'll definitely be keeping an eye on that and hoping to see it continue to decrease. And here is the adult current electronic nicotine delivery system, or ENDS use, charted out from 2020 to 2022. And the reason this is a relatively short trend line is because The question that captures the current ENDS use on the BRFSS was not included in the 2019 BRFSS, so we had a gap in the data. To me, it didn't really make much sense to plot out that earlier data with a gap in there because that trend is very similar to this trend anyway. And again, we're very close to having the 2023 data point to add to this. But as you can see, from 2020 to 2022, the adult current ENDS use has been trending upward. Now on this slide, we have the high school current smokeless tobacco use. And this trend, does appear to be trending downward over time. Although from 2019 through 2023, it's sort of plateaued, not a whole lot of change there. But overall, it is trending downward over time. For the adult current smokeless tobacco use, we have a little bit of a longer trend line. And as you can see from this, over time, adult current smokeless tobacco use has remained virtually unchanged from 2014 to 2022. In 2014, it was 6.4%, and in 2022, it's 6.5%. On this slide, this depicts the high school current cigar smoking trended. Again, we have a lot of data for this. We're very fortunate. There's a few ups and downs in this trend over the years, but overall, over time, high school current cigar smoking has been trending downward. There was a little bit of an increase from 2007 to 2011, and then now the most recent 2021 to 2023, there appears to be a slight uptick here as well. So we'll definitely be keeping an eye on that in the future. But again, over time, long period, long term, the high school current cigar smoking has been trending downward. For adult current cigar smoking, this over time, this one's a little bit trickier to interpret this trend because it's so very little change over time with this. I mean, we can say that it appears to be trending downward slightly over time, but again, it's very little change over time from 2015 to 2022, where in 2015 it was 4.4%, and in 2022 3.4%. Now, on this slide, we're going back to looking at high school data again, and it's basically the same information that we were looking at with the trend lines, or the line charts, but it's all displayed in one chart side by side, and then using a different display method of clustered bar charts. And in looking at this chart, I think it's kind of interesting that we can see that current tobacco use has been trending downward for current cigars and current smokeless over time, and for current cigarettes as well. Nice long downward trends over time. And then with the current ENDS use for students, we do have that dramatic increase in 2019, sort of in the middle of our trend right now. But since 2019, it has been trending downward. And on this chart, we're dealing specifically with ENDS use and sort of looking at the frequency of ENDS use among our high school students. So it starts out with whether or not the students have ever tried ENDS, and then it goes all the way up to if they're a daily user or they've used on all 30 days of the past, month or 30 days before taking the survey. So, and if we look at this, interestingly, the ever tried and the current use, or using on one or more days of the past 30 days, or at least one day of the past 30 days, it, has been seeming to trend downward, except for that 2019, spike that we had. But then, interestingly, the frequent, or those who used on 20 or more of the past 30 days, or the daily users, that actually has been, while there's a smaller proportion of them, that has been trending upward a bit over time. So now looking at adult current tobacco use, this is basically the same sort of thing as the two slides ago with the youth, where we're looking at current ends use, current cigarette smoking, and current smokeless tobacco use. And as we saw with the line charts, current smokeless tobacco use is virtually unchanged over our long-term trend line from 2014 to 2022. Current cigarette smoking has been trending downward generally over time, and our adult current ends use is trending upward from 2020 to 2022. And on this slide, we have the pregnant women cigarette smoking rate charted out over time. And this comes from North Dakota Vital Statistics. This information is captured on the birth certificate parental worksheets that are done when babies are born. And we have a nice long, trend line on this, and it has been trending downward very, steadily over time. So this is very good to see. And here on this chart, we have the North Dakota American Indian adult, current cigarette smoking rate charted out. And while there are some ups and downs on this trend line over time, overall it is trending downward. And again, we have a nice long trend here of about 10 years or more. And but again, it is trending downward over time. So that's the end of the charts that I was going to go through. But I also wanted to take you through a handful of what I consider to be, good tobacco-related or just general, really good data resources that people should be aware of, just in case they might want to use them to look for something, or just interested in finding some information. So the first data source I definitely want to point you toward is, of course, the Tobacco Prevention and Control homepage or website that we have. So now I got to check with everybody. Did my web browser, did that pop up so everybody can see it?
I don't see it, Clint.
Okay, so I'm going to have to share that as well, I believe. Stop sharing for a moment, share screen. Okay, how about now?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the Tobacco Prevention Control website, and on this landing page, there's lots of good information. But what I wanted to specifically point you all toward is this tobacco surveillance data tab here. So if you click into there are 3 things posted there right now, which are all good tobacco-related data sources. So the first thing is the tobacco surveillance data summary, and that is a table. I suppose if I click into that, I'd also have to share that with you too, right? I think so.
No, give it a try.
Okay.
Nope, it went for you. We can see
Oh,
that.
good. Good. Okay, so this is a table that's been around for quite some time, and it has a lot of tobacco-related information on it for the state. And then the most recent 6 years worth of data, or 6 data points, are in that table. And as new data becomes available, I do update it periodically. And I always am sure to update the date that I have in the bottom of the form so that people looking at this table know when the last time it was updated, how sort of fresh that data is. So that's a good resource to know about. The second thing on the Tobacco Prevention Control website's data page is a report from the Campaign for Tobacco for Kids on the toll of tobacco in North Dakota, or how much tobacco use is costing the state, so to speak. And this is a great resource with a lot of good information on it as well. And then the third thing on the tobacco surveillance data tab is the tobacco dashboard. On the overview page here, it has some current tobacco-related measures for adults and youth. As you can see, it's kind of color-coded. The teal is for adults, the orange is for youth. So it has that on the overview page. But across the top here, there are various tabs that you can click through if you are interested in looking at further information. So, for example, if I wanted to look at adult cigarette use, I could click into this first tab. And on here are some measures, adult current cigarette smoking, and then it's broken out by various demographics like age, income, sex, and education. But there also is some limited queryability built into this website where you can look at different years, or you can select multiple years to look at together by holding the control key and then clicking on what you want. I'm not going to do a whole bunch of that right now, but I would encourage anybody who's interested to check it out. So I'm going to say, we also have this same kind of table for adults who've ever tried ENDS. We have current ENDS use for adults. We have adult current smokeless tobacco use. Again, all of them are broken out by those various demographics. We have adult cigar use. And we have a tab where it's multi-tobacco use, or if for those adults who either are current users of any combination of ENDS, cigarettes, or smokeless tobacco use. And on this tab, it's broken out by, again, race, disability status, sexual orientation, health insurance status, or mental health status as well. And then there are also a couple of tabs dealing with youth. So, but these are laid out a little bit differently. They have the information already charted out by year on the graphs, but the limited queryability with the youth tabs or youth tables is that you can look at them by regional education association. And again, you could also control click to select multiple regional education associations at one time to look at side by side. So, and this is the last tab. And then there is one exception in the youth tables, and that is the table charting out the current ENDS users who are seriously thinking about quitting in the next 6 months. That is a static table where it's already charted out by the regional education associations. And then it has a line here depicting what the state rate is in that table. So anyway, I think this is a good resource and a good page for people to know about. So another table that I would like to point you toward is, I'm going to have to go back into the PowerPoint. The North Dakota Behavioral Risk Factor. So did that page come up for everybody? The North Dakota Behavior Risk Factor Surveillance System?
I am not seeing it pop up yet.
This is an issue.
You need to try and reshare that screen.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. Okay. Okay. That should work.
Yep.
So this is the state BRFSS, or Behavioral Risk Factor Surveillance System website. And lots of good information in here on, you can look at the questionnaires, you can look at various publications, but the thing I definitely wanted to point everyone toward for my purposes today is the data, of course. And if you click into the data tile or tab, then you can look at core variable reports. You can look at calculated variable reports, reports for information that was included as module in the survey. But so just as an example, if we click into the core variable report, it's just a big PDF report, but it is relatively easy to use the find capability to type in some keywords, maybe if you're looking for something specific. Whoops. So as you can see, I just typed in tobacco and it'll take you right to the tobacco use contents and you can look at that stuff. And in these BRFSS variable reports, it's a great place to look at to find the the current measure on anything. And it's also broken out by, sort of basic demographic categories in here as well. So I'm going to do something a little different. So maybe I'm just gonna search in here instead of having to go back and forth. So another website is, there is a BRFSS website that the CDC has as well. So you can look at the national information, or it's the national website, but you can also get state-specific information here too. Again, lots of good information, but what I definitely use the most when I come in here is the prevalence data and data analysis tools. So if you click into this and go into the prevalence and data trends, again, you can look at either national data, of course, or you can look at specific states. And there's two ways you can do this. You can either choose off of the drop-down menu, or if you want to look at a specific state like North Dakota, of course, you can just click on North Dakota. And there is some queryability here that you would need to go through. You can look at it statewide, and you can look at it by metropolitan statistical areas in the states. And North Dakota, I believe, has 4 of these metropolitan statistical areas. In other words, places that have enough population to be able to look at the data for them specifically. And those, of course, would be, just as you would think, Fargo, Bismarck, Grand Forks, and Minot. So, but so once you're in here and we're looking at North Dakota, we want to look at tobacco use, for example. And we would like to look at current smoker status, or the most current year that's available in here, which is 2022 right now, but hopefully 2023 should be available in here in the not too distant future. Where you click on go, and it will filter all that out for you. And so I am now getting the 2022 current adult cigarette smoking rate in North Dakota of 15.1%. So that's displayed as a bar chart, but you can also display it as a table if you'd rather. Or And another great thing about this is, you can look at it for a specific year, or you can look at it for all available years. And that is a great, pretty convenient way to get the entire trend that the BRFSS system has, going all the way back to 2011. So um, another great website would be the North Dakota Behavior Risk Factor, or I'm sorry, the North Dakota Risk Behavior Survey. And lots of good information on here on this web page. But again, the place that we're interested in right now for this presentation are the data reports. So if you look at those, they have the last three times that the YRBS was conducted in North Dakota, and they have summary data reports. And once again, these are PDF documents, so you may need to use the find capability to try to find your way around a little bit by typing in some keywords. But they have all of the results for the YRBS broken out by some demographic areas like sex and age and grade and race. And then another thing, along with the data, summary data, we also have high school and middle school trend data. Obviously, we use the high school data by far the most, but if you go into the trend data, this is another handy resource where it has all of the results for the YRBS going back a long way, reported in those years where those questions were included in the analysis or in the survey. So this is another great place to get youth tobacco-related trends, or really any risk behavior trends that are in our youth risk behavior survey. And just like with the BRFSS, there is also a national YRBS website that I wanted to quickly point you toward. And, again, just loads of information out here. But what I find myself using the most when I come out here, which is specific to data, is I look under and this is, they call this the YRBSS instead of, whereas in the state, we just refer to it as the YRBS, because they're calling this they're calling it a surveillance system. Whereas in the state, we usually just refer to it as the Youth Risk Behavior Survey. So that's the difference there. But if we look at the YRBS results, and if, let's say, I wanted to look at high schools, so I would look at that menu, and I would like to use their online high school results, which is a queryable system again, just like with the national BRFSS system, that you can, looks like it's going to take a little bit to load in here, but once we get in here, we can query information. So, for example, say I would like to look at tobacco use, of course, and then it'll say, what would you like to look at? Let's say we want to look at electronic vapor product use for high schoolers. And right now it's defaulted to the United States, but I would like to do it for North Dakota. So you can just choose that off of the drop-down menu here. And 2021 is the most recent data available because, as I said earlier, 2023 Youth Risk Behavior Survey data, it just recently became available. But, within, let's say, the next 6 months, hopefully, they should be able to have that added to this website. But, and then now that I've queried this, it has, I need to hit go to query it. And now it has that ever used electronic vapor products is what I must have clicked on. But it has the total for the state for 2021. And then the difference between males and females on ever tried is virtually non-existent. They're very close to the same. So another data source that I would like to show you is the North Dakota Vital Statistics webpage. And this is more of general data, general life events types of stuff like births, deaths, marriages, causes of death, that sort of thing. That's what I use the most when I come to here. And that's usually to be found in the Vital Events Summary, which is a great report. Again, they're posted out here as PDFs. And in here, they have all of these life events, as I said, like births, deaths, marriages, and they are broken out by county and for the statewide number. And they usually do it, they'll report the number of events, but then they also calculate the rate per 100,000 population, so then they can be compared. And what I use the most in the vital event summary is the causes of death tables. So, because then we could look at causes of death that are known to be related to tobacco use, for example. So we can look at diseases of the heart, cancers, cerebrovascular diseases, COPD, maybe diseases of the arteries, things like that. And we can get all of those either statewide rates per 100,000, or we can get them for all of the individual counties as well. That's another good resource. Something else I wanted to show you is the U.S. Census Bureau website. Oh, that didn't work. So you may be already familiar with this website, but it's a great resource for getting population data, estimates or projections, or even just the actual counts from the latest decennial census. This is a very extensive website, but I think it's pretty intuitive. I mean, if it's pretty easy to find your way around on this website and find the information that you're looking for. But I just definitely wanted to point out the Census Bureau website to you all as well. And the last thing is I wanted to also let you know that there is a North Dakota Census website or State Data Center, and that is located within the Department of Commerce. So this is another good resource. And in the on the second to last slide of the presentation, which will be posted, all of these websites are in there as links that you can just click on to go to these websites. But the State Data Center website is another good resource where you can get North Dakota state specific population estimates and projections and county level data and demographics data and things like that. So this is another really good website to know about. And with that, that is all I had, but I'm going to go back to the presentation, catch up to where I was at. So this is the page that will be, you can see that, right, Abby?
Yes.
Good, because I've been clicking back and forth quite a bit, so I just wanted to make sure. So these are all links that people can click on and go right to these websites. And then for the last thing, I just wanted to be sure to include my contact information for everyone. And if you are looking for some data or wondering about something, please don't hesitate to contact me. Probably by email would be the best way to go, but of course you're certainly free to call my office number that's included here as well. So I think that's going to be it for me, and I suppose I am just wondering if anybody has any questions for me right now.
I went ahead and allowed mic, so feel free to go ahead and unmute your microphone and come off if you have a question, or raise your hand, and we can go around and make sure. There is one question in the chat. There was a comment that they love the websites, and we can definitely get those posted. And as Clint said, these slides will be available for you all. And then the second question, since the 2023 YRBS information came out, when can we expect the data and the adult data to be on the surveillance tables?
Well, I don't quite have my hands on the 2023 adult data from the BRFSS yet, but that should be soon. And the youth risk behavior survey, like that just is freshly available. But so I will look at updating that tobacco surveillance data table. Let's say within the next 2 weeks, maybe sooner, but I hope that's soon enough. I find that it gets to be quite a bit if I try to update it every time a new single piece of data becomes available. So I try to let a few pieces of data become available, and then I update it then. But with this since it's been so long, and with this 2023 youth risk behavior survey data becoming available, I will be sure to update that as soon as I can.
Like Brady has your hand up.
Hi, sorry I got dropped there. I hit the wrong button at the end. Clint, I was just curious on the BRFSS stuff at the beginning. The graph started for adult use for cigars and spit tobacco or chewing tobacco, like around, I think, 2012 to 2014. Is there a reason it started that late, or was there a question change, or what might happen for that? It seems like those were asked a lot longer ago than that.
Yeah, but the thing is with the question that captures the adult current smokeless tobacco use, that question was altered. So
Okay.
So that changes the trend. So
Yeah,
we had to start from that question. Yep. And then on the adult cigar smoking, that is actually not from the BRFSS. That is from the adult tobacco survey. And the adult tobacco survey, I believe I think that question may have been altered as well. So it changed the trend. But that's why those trends are a little bit shorter. But in like the adult tobacco survey is also asked every other year. So that, that's why there's fewer data points on that trend line.
Okay. Great information. Thank you, Clint.
Sure.
I think that brings a really good point of why Clint is so valuable to this department and our work, because those little details in terms of surveys and when they come out and the question changes and his trends and how all that affects that. So thank you so much, Clint, for sharing all this with us. Another quick question in the chat: are the ATS and YTS data sets ever available?
The data sets, yeah, you could get those by contacting me, and we may have to jump through just a couple of minor administrative hoops to release those data sets, but they're certainly available. Yes.
That might be a good point to share that not all data sets, and you don't have access to all the different surveys. Some are national, some are, so I don't know if you want to do just a quick rundown of where each one of those falls, or if that's too much information.
Well, yeah, with our behavior risk factor surveillance system, that if anybody wanted the data for that, they would need to contact our BRFSS program. It's actually a separate program here within the Department of Health and Human Services. And same thing with the youth risk behavior. All this data is basically available to the public, but it's not just posted out there. But it's basically available upon request by contacting those departments or programs that can administer those surveys. And then the adult tobacco survey and the youth tobacco survey are administered right here within our tobacco prevention and control program. So those two data sets would be available from contacting us in the tobacco program.
Haley?
Thank you for explaining that, Clint. I know the YRBS isn't really under your umbrella, but I know, so we just sent out our school assessment survey because one of the things that we wanted to know from our schools is if they receive their district specific data. And I know that depends on how many kids are surveyed in those districts. And historically, we know that Grand Forks usually does get it, but they keep that data pretty close to their chest. So am I wrong that that is not public data, or is that considered public data as well?
No, the data that the schools get specific to themselves, that data would only be available from them.
Okay. What about the question of which schools receive it? Like, could I ask the YRBS program at least which schools have enough students to get district specific data? Could they tell us that?
Yes, I believe that would be fine to contact the YRBS program.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, thank you so much, Clint, for your time today. I did pop the link for the surveillance table in the chat, and we will get those PowerPoint from Clint and get that posted so you have access to those other great resources as well. So thank you for your time and have a great day.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.